We want to welcome you out to our first panel of the weekend. We're talking about Black Tech. We've got some really outstanding guys who all represent different spaces in tech. First off, we have Paul Francis, who's the CEO and co-founder of KIGT. Paul, wave to the people. There we go. We have Tavio Hobson, who's the co-founder of Trufl. And we have Tim Hampton, who is the co-founder and managing partner of 360 Estates.
Check.
Very first things first, since you have the mic, I'll let you go first, Tim. Explain to people what 360 Estates is and what it does.
All right, so 360 Estates is a real estate marketing company, and we specialize in 3D property tours. So essentially what we do is we go into a property, it could be residential or commercial, and we do a full 3D scan of the property. So if you guys have ever seen Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, you see how he has the 3D image? Well, we're not putting it in the air, but we have it on any device of your choice, and you can literally drop into any room. So what that does is it offers a new way for people to buy and sell real estate.
Very nice. All right, thank you. Let's take it to Tavio. Tavio, explain what Trufl does.
For sure. So Trufl is an on-demand platform that allows you as a guest to walk into a restaurant without a reservation and wait less by bidding on the next available table. Any amount that you bid is your starting tab when you sit down. And so what it really does is it helps mitigate huge problems for restaurants, the biggest one of which is reservations. Restaurants hate reservations. People don't show up, they show up late, or they show up with different party sizes. And during peak times, it's really hard for restaurants to maximize their peak times, right? They don't know whether you're going to sit down and split a salad or order a 4-course meal. So with Trufl, it allows restaurants to increase their revenue during peak times and know more about their consumer. So they'll know as soon as you walk in the door if you like almond milk in your coffee, or you're vegan or lactose intolerant. So it allows a better personalized hospitality experience in restaurants.
And Paul, tell us about KIGT, what KIGT does.
Yeah, so how many of you hate paying for gasoline, right? All of us. So at KIGT, that's what we do. We help you not pay for gasoline ever again. We make the pound for pound smallest, smartest, fastest charging station for electric cars. As you guys know, there's about 40 models coming online. There's commercials. Our company makes the charge station for your home, and we do it for commercial. If you go right down the street at the University of Laverne, you can find 10 of our charge stations installed there. We also have several at the University of California, Riverside, where we're doing a microgrid project with solar and battery storage. One main question we get is your charge station compatible with every electric vehicle? The answer is yes. There's a standard plug, so if you go try to buy an electric car, ours can serve you. If you have a little more money and you buy that Tesla, you can just put the adapter on it. We can help you out too. So that's what we do. We manufacture here locally. I believe we're as we know, the only African-American charge station manufacturer in America.
That's really dope. Okay, so there you go. A lot of people that don't like paying for gas, from what I hear. Any one of you can take this first. I want to know, how did you come up with this idea? How did you get started? Where did the idea for your businesses come from? Anyone that wants to take that first?
Well, the idea for 360 Estates, well, I don't know if some of you guys saw, I was DJing. So, yeah, so my background is in music and marketing. And so 360 Estates formed as a way for my team to be able to record weddings. If you think about weddings and being able to relive that experience as if you're actually there in virtual reality, that was the starting point. And so then we sat around a table and said, hey, what's the biggest need right now? And then the idea of real estate came into mind. And so we started developing our camera, which is the camera that we use to create our software to do the 3D tours. And so that's how we came up with the concept of a 360 Estates. And we started with one idea, and we made it bigger, we made it grow.
For me, it started back in 2009 when I got into the industry. Initially, we were transporting folks to and from casinos using shuttle buses and things of that nature, right? And then what happened, we were looking to be more environmentally friendly. And so one of my buddies suggested that we look into going electric. So for the first 4 years of the company, we were doing pilot projects and demonstrations for cities and universities and the Port of Los Angeles, where We one time powered a whole parking lot lights with an electric car. And that's what kind of inspired me into the business. But unfortunately, we weren't doing many transactions. So we made the pivot to making our own charging station instead of trying to sell a platform. So that happened about 4 years ago, and we found that making a more affordable product for people in the market actually worked with something more functional. Because after the economic downturn in 2008, we couldn't justify selling a high-priced product to folks. So we decided to make something more compact and affordable.
So for Trufl, the idea really came about from my personal experience. I moved to LA about 3.5 years ago, originally from Seattle, and it kind of blew my mind that even the restaurant that I would frequently go to wouldn't know that I liked almond milk in my coffee, or wouldn't know the fact that I was lactose intolerant, wouldn't know some of those things. And even beyond that, I found that there were a lot of restaurants that were really hard to get into. You had to know the right person, or even if you knew the right person, you had to go at the right time. And when I was at the Clippers, a lot of times I was entertaining clients or possible clients. And once you meet the right person and you get the relationship, you would be able to get in, or they would give you that personalized experience. And I just thought it was crazy that Google can know what I searched for 10 years ago to the day, but the restaurant I had been going to for the past year didn't know that I liked almond milk in my coffee. And so I tried to figure out why this exists, and what became apparent when I started talking to people that were in the industry was it was a really fractured CRM system to keep track of their guests. And so it really started as a way for guests to get a more personalized experience with restaurants. And then when doing that, we realized there's a huge pain point that restaurants had, which was reservations. They're really, really hard on restaurants and their ability to be efficient with their front of house. So through my personal experience of not really getting the type of service I felt like restaurants should be giving me, and feeling like they didn't have the tools that they needed, we sought out to create a platform that could be a universal CRM. So no matter what restaurant you walked into, they could know who you were. And you could monetize your time if you were on vacation and you didn't want to wait, or you were entertaining a client and you wanted to be able to get into that restaurant with the flexibility to do it on demand and not have to book a reservation.
Tavio, while we're talking about Trufl, you are in the pre-stage, I guess, of rollout, right? You guys are bringing in restaurants and beginning to start that process. Talk to us about some of the challenges that you've faced and had to try to figure out how to overcome.
For sure. So as he mentioned, we have not gone live yet. We are available in the iOS and Android store. Please download it. Trufl, Trufl. Quick plug there.
Once again, that's Trufl, Trufl. Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of the challenges, I think, especially I'm a first-time founder, right? I'm a first-time founder of color, and I'm a first-time founder of color with no technical background, right? So the challenges around not only raising funds, but then being able to get your product to market are extensive. But I'd say of those, the one that for me was most challenging was managing the engineering process. Not being a non-technical founder, you actually can't check the work of your engineers. Right? There's no way for you to be able to look at the code. You don't know until that dev run comes through and you see the feature whether or not it functions the way you want it to function, right? And so I had to pick the brains of people that I was close with, and some of whom were mentors, on how does a non-technical founder manage the technical process. So that was a huge challenge for me. It's something that if I could go back and do it over again, in college I would have studied something around computer science, because having even that basic knowledge that I feel like I've developed over these 2.5 years would have helped me immensely.
Tim, talk to me about the challenges that you face with real estate and the digital side. What are some of the challenges that you've had, and how have you dealt with them?
Well, when you were talking, you listed off your challenges. I was like, check. Same for me too, right? That's why we're on this panel. So the challenge for me, one of the challenges was managing systems. Someone told me that someone with a successful business owner will be great at managing processes. And so for me, being a first-time founder and check like yourself, I had to learn how to do all these processes from scratch. And I didn't really have like any mentors or anything. So what do you have? Google. You have the internet. You go out there and you seek the information. And once you start to seek the information, you start to know better ways to look for the particular things that you want to know. And so that was one of my challenges, is figuring out what direction I needed to go into and managing that process, and then moving on to the next process, and then managing that as well. So,
Paul, talk to me about the challenges that you've had with KIGT as far as getting into a location for people to be able to test it, and what are some of the market challenges that you've had? How much time do we have?
We have time for that. So one thing that has been interesting, I'll take a different approach because you guys said it all, right? I've gone through it. As a black founder in green tech, often I'm the only one at the conference, or I'm the only one in the meeting that looks like me. One thing that the challenges have helped with as a team is brought us closer together. Because you're going to face them. And when you're an entrepreneur starting out, you have to already accept that that part of it is going to be hard, right? And if you believe in what you do, those challenges like trying to get it installed, trying to speak in front of a mayor for the first time to convince him that I can put up charge stations, right? When you go through those challenges and you have a team, you know that you have a barometer of improvement. It helps me say, okay, last year we were here, we made these mistakes, but now fast forward 8 years later, we have 10 installs at the University of Laverne. So the obstacles actually helped us get better. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't change the challenges for anything, because if we would have had the opportunity to go out to market a few years ago, we wouldn't have the smallest product. It helped us be more resourceful and think creatively.
You talked about being the only black person in a lot of the spaces that you go into, and I would guess, without having discussed this with you, but I would guess that Tavio and Tim, you also have that same experience. I think we can figure out what the challenges are that are presented in a space when you're the only person like yourself, but what are the advantages that come as being that person in those spaces? And either one of you can take that first.
Man, we dictate the culture. We're cool. You know, the fact of the matter is, black is in. You know, you see it in music, you see it on television, you see it in media. So what's happened over the past year, I say it's been almost a competitive advantage, right? We're distinct. Now when I walk into the room, because we've done deals, I get more attention. So when I speak knowledgeably, now they pay attention more. On the business end, because we're a minority company, it allows us the advantage of being a certified disadvantaged business, a minority business. When you talk about doing contracts with utility companies and transit agencies, things of that nature, they have to set aside a portion of their business. For example, Edison has to set aside up to 17% of their spend with diverse businesses like KIGT. So what happened was we went from thinking like a startup with our 10 cup out to thinking like a small business and how can we get out there? And it worked.
What are some of the advantages that come along with being the other in the room?
Well, leveraging relationships. I'll use CEEM as an example. Being able to speak with a platform like this, to be able to reach out, you know, to different demographics of people, and to be able to, you know, just share the ideas that I have, and create new business and relationships, and take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. You know, when you go into a meeting and you see another person of color, you know, they want to help you, right? So then you want to level up, and you want to show up, and you want to, you know, you want to overachieve and satisfy that relationship. So I think that's a big advantage of being a person of color in my industry.
Yeah. And I'd say one thing that you know my two panelists didn't say, but I think they'd probably agree with, is the resilience factor. To be a good entrepreneur, you have to be super resilient, and that's something that comes along because of the resilience we face in life every day since we were born, right? So that resilience, when translated to entrepreneurism, I think bodes very well for us. So when investors hit you with, you know, how are you going to do this, that, or the other, and face all this adversity, you know, in your mind, you almost laugh because you say, if you knew all the adversity I've already faced to be here, you would understand that this is nothing, right? So I'd say the adversity and resilience.
I was just rewatching Black Panther and thinking about the incredible metaphor of his suit being empowered by being hit, right? Every time he was hit, he absorbed more energy and then could turn that power around and use it against his opponent. And I thought that was such a beautiful metaphor for the way that black and brown people have endured so much over the years and have taken that and been able to turn it around for their own empowerment. for those of you that don't know about CEEM, CEEM is putting on this whole weekend that's happening here of events and vendors and all kinds of really fantastic things that are happening here. And I want to make sure that you guys know that CEEM is an economic cooperative committed to helping African Americans create wealth through uniting our efforts and investing in Black-owned ventures. CEEM, which is CEEM, provides support, counseling, and leadership development for entrepreneurs and individual network members to close the racial gap with wealth and improve economic outcomes for the Black community. So if you're interested in getting more information about CEEM, finding out how you can be a part of it and want to participate in what CEEM is doing, this gazebo that's right over here, you'll see Kyle waving. Kyle is there, and you guys can go over and get more information about CEEM. You can sign up to get the marketing that comes out about it, or to join to be a part of what they're doing. So shout out to CEEM. Let's have a hand for them that put on this weekend. We're limited on time, so before we go, I kind of want you all to tell people that might have an idea that are kind of like, I could see myself maybe coming up with this idea and I want to do something. All of you had an idea, right, and turned it into something that is now either working or is coming out or is being used. Tell people what you did to kind of go from being an idea to being in the App Store or to being available for people to use, and either one of you can start.
Well, I say the first thing is just do. Taking action, taking that idea and actually doing something about it, and understanding that you don't have to have money to start your idea. You can be resourceful. You can find other ways to put your project in action. You can leverage the help of others. You can go find new information. There's plenty of ways you can get this information to start your business.
I think to build on what he said, in addition to just doing it, I think talk to as many people as you can about your idea. I think a lot of times people don't want to tell their idea because they're scared someone will steal it. And I'll say something that's been said to me several times. Ideas are very cheap. Execution is everything. And you will get smarter and you will be better at your idea the more you get feedback from people in the market, from people that are already in the space. So you want to get as much feedback as possible and continue to improve it. As he mentioned, even if you don't have the money to necessarily build it the way you want to build it, before there was a basketball hoop, there was a bucket. You can create things that can be like what you eventually want, and use that to continue to test and get feedback from the market, and then just keep improving it. I can tell you the product that we have in the store right now is not the product we had a year ago, even though we did have something a year ago. So when you continue to improve it, everyone sees the end result, but along the way, you got to iterate that idea as many times as possible to eventually get to the finish line.
So, as you can tell by these gentlemen here, they have passion in their voice for what they do, right? For you to continue through the trials and the difficulty, you have to love what you do and be passionate about it, because what happens at the beginning is you're gonna suck, and you're not gonna get the yeses. And one thing I like to say to some of our intern students is no no's and no no's. You have to know some no's to know how to get better. Go out and get rejected first, and it's okay. But then have your no-no's, right? Have your things that you won't compromise on. Have your things you won't do. One thing that one of my mentors, Kiana Webb, tells me is, she taught me, live in your purpose. And so the decisions you make towards your company and towards your goals, if you live in your purpose for your family and everything like that, it tends to work out. Like when you go out on that leap of faith, what's happened here with me, I'm on stage. You create a lifestyle for yourself and your family, even though you don't necessarily have the desired outcome quite yet. So go out and do it and live that dream, man.
Before we let these gentlemen go, tell people where they can find out more information about each of your projects and where they can access that information. Go ahead.
All right, so you can check us out at www.KIGTinc.com if you want to buy a charge station. We lease them. You can get one for $99 to start. You can also find us at KIGT_Inc. on Instagram. We have the most followers in the world by any charge station company. And you can check us out on Twitter, KIGT Inc.
For us, it's Trufl, Trufl, app.com if you want to check out the website. We're also on Instagram. If you download the app, it's TRUFL in both the App Store, iOS and Android. And for everyone that's here, if you shoot me a personal email or note, I'll make sure you get some discount codes for restaurants as well.
And you guys are still signing up restaurants, so if you guys know any
Yes.
restaurants.
So if you know any restaurants as well that are interested in increasing their sales and being more efficient with front of house, please contact me.
And for 360 Estates, you can find us at www.see360estates.com. And also, we're giving demonstrations in the back. So straight behind you, see the 360 Estates booth. There's Matt, business partner Matt right there. Hey, Matt. We're giving live demonstrations right there. You guys can see all the VR for yourselves. It is real. Seeing is believing. So.
And KIGT is over here on to my right, to your left, in the booth there. Want to give a hand to Paul, Tavio, and Tim. Say thank you so much. We thank you all for coming up and sharing your knowledge and your products, and best of luck to you going forward, man.
Thanks for having us.
All right, see you guys.